Hey everybody, it's me, Chris. I'm back over here in the kitchen, and today I'm going to show you how to clean and prep boneless, skinless chicken breast. And we love chicken. I use a lot of chicken, so what I like to do is wait till it goes on sale. I'll buy a couple big packs, and then I'll break it down. I'll either vacuum seal it in some bags or use some Ziploc bags so I have it in the freezer. All right, so take a look at the chicken I got here. So this was on sale this week. This was only $1.79 a pound. All right, so I got about 10 pounds here. And what you want to look for, most important thing here is you want to look for the package to be nice and clean and dry inside. And I hope you can see that, but there's no water, there's no liquid. You can see the styrofoam tray on the bottom. It's nice and clean, so you know that's fresh chicken. And that's what I'm looking for. All right, so let me show you what I do. I got my chicken set up here. And then what I like to do when I'm working with this much chicken, I like to have this placed right into the sink. My sink is clean here. I'm just gonna put that right in the sink. This way when I start to work on it, I'm not gonna get spillage all over the place. It stays in there, all the junk stays in there. And then I have a nice big cutting board. I got my chef knife here. Use whatever knife you're comfortable working with. Just make sure it's really nice and sharp. And then I got a couple different size bowls. So I'm gonna cut this up in a few different cuts. I'm gonna make some chunks, some strips for fajitas, and I'm gonna make some chicken cutlets. But the first thing I'm gonna do is I got a very large bowl here. So the first thing I wanna do is I'm gonna take all these breasts and I'm gonna trim out the fat and all the sinew and put them right in this bowl. That's the first step. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start with the first pack here. I'm gonna cut it open and pull the plastic aside and take a few of these out, put them on my board. And then as I work, you see what I'm going to do? I got some room here. So I'm going to put all the fat and stuff right back into this package. All right, so I'm going to start with these two chicken breasts. And just, I want to show you what I'm looking at and looking for. So these are two breasts, and they're almost always all the same, right? So these are, I got the shiny side up, that's the top part. And then the bottom here is the part that's usually connected to the bird. All right, so you can see the difference there in the texture. And we got a couple different things here that we have to trim, right? So one of the things you look for, I always look for right away on the top, is this little piece of sinew right here that sticks up on the top. Okay, just trim that away, put it on your board, and it's almost always there on every one. All right, so that's one thing. And then I'm gonna look around the edge of the chicken here, right, on the breast, and look for any excess fat. I mean, these are pretty well trimmed. There's a tiny bit here, but I don't even need to cut that. So this is really clean and well trimmed from the store. But the big part that you want to cut out always is this little knuckle right here. And this is what kind of, I guess, connects the breast to the rib cage of the animal. So I use the tip of my knife and I just cut in, and you can see that little knuckle right there. You don't want to eat that. So just cut down and cut it out completely, just like that, all right? And this part's okay. That's gonna be fine. But you definitely don't want that little knuckle, because that's gonna be chewy, it's gonna be hard, and it's not something that you wanna eat, all right? So now let me look at the other one, and you can see, you can usually identify it. You see there's a little bit of blood there, all right? A little bit of connective tissue. So again, I'm gonna cut that out and put that aside. And then the same thing, if there's any more of that hard sinew, or I call it a knuckle, again, just gently with your knife, just cut that out. All right, and then I'm just gonna look, again, I'm gonna look around the edge and see if there's any fat on the sides here, right, over here. And this one's actually really clean as well. So I got a little bit on the end here. All right, you see that? I'm just gonna cut that off. And these look good. These are good. I'll go right in my bowl. All right, so the first two are done, and I'm just going to take my waste here, put it right in the package, and I'm going to grab two more breasts. All right, so again, I want to check the top first. See, there's a little bit of sinew there. You can just take that off, and then just give them a flip and inspect them. See what you got there. So this one has a little bit of fat on this side. I'm just going to trim that right off, put that to the side. And again, that little corner you see right here, that's always there. I'm just gonna work my knife around, cut that off, okay? That looks pretty good. And just give it a nice inspection and make sure you get rid of everything. That one looks good. All right, and the same thing with this one. Just turn it over. I don't see much excess fat, so I'm just gonna cut out that little corner again. Same thing. And once you do this a few times, I mean, this goes really, really quick, okay? And if you see, sometimes you have a little bloodline here, a little vein spot. You just cut one side, cut the other, and then you could take that right out as well. All right, maybe a little extra fat here. I'm just gonna give that a slight trim, and that one looks good. So once in a while you get one with a little extra fat, okay? So like this one, you could see at the tip here, it's got a little piece of fat there. It's got a little excess fat on the side there, and then on the back. So this is pretty typical of what you'll see. So I just cut that back piece off just like that. I'll set it aside. All right, you can see on the bottom here as well, there's a little bit of bloodline there, and I'll just cut that right off. Okay, get rid of that. And then I'll come over here, trim the edge. That looks good. Trim off the front, the excess fat on the front, okay? And just keep looking at it. Take your time, make sure you get it all. And that looks pretty good. And then the last thing I'm gonna do, again, I'm gonna go back in that little corner there, and I'm gonna get all that out, that little knuckle, just like that. And that one's done. All right, so my breasts are all cleaned and trimmed, and these look great. And once you get the hang of this, it should only take you about 5 minutes. It's really easy. This was 10 pounds of chicken, and it literally only took me a couple minutes. So these are ready to go. Now it's time to cut them. All right, so I cleaned up a little bit. I gave my board a wipe down. And the first cut I want to show you is really the most traditional, I guess. It's how to do a chicken cutlet, a nice thin chicken cutlet. And basically all you have to do is just cut this breast in half. So the way you do that is try and find the fattest side of it, all right, so you can gauge it, and put your hand on top nice and flat. Position your knife towards the center, and just slowly kind of go back and forth all the way through the breast. And don't worry about it. You're not going to cut yourself as long as your hands as long as your hand is pointing up, your fingers pointing up like this, and you're just pressed on the top. You're going to be fine. Okay, just work your knife through all the way to the end, and make it as even as you can. And this breast is split in half, and you can see nice and even. And what you can do at this point is you could get some plastic wrap and pound this out. But what I do to save time, especially if I'm wearing a glove, is you could just kind of use your fist and just pound it out a little bit, even it out. And you see this chicken is nice and dry, so it's not going to splatter or anything. So I'm just going to gently pound these, and you can already see it just flattened out. Make it nice and even on the fatter side, and I'll do that with both of them. And these actually look pretty good. These are ready to go. I got 2 chicken cutlets. All right, so one more time for the chicken cutlet. Again, my hand is flat on top. Don't put your fingers down here where you can cut yourself. Flat hand. Find the center there, and just drag your knife nice and easy back and forth, just like that. Okay, and then you can fold it open and cut it in half. And then again, I just use my fist. I give it a little pound out, just like this. And that's your chicken cutlet. All right, so the next cut I want to show you is how to cut it into chunks. And this is what I do for my chicken when I want to put it on top of pizza or in a pasta dish. And it starts basically the same way we did chicken cutlets. First, I want to cut this piece in half, okay? Just like that. And then I'm going to cut strips. So I'm looking for about a 1/2 inch piece or so, all right? And so I'm going to cut long ways first here and again, and then turn it this way and cut my chunks just like this, okay? Set that aside. And then I'll do the same thing with this one. Try and straighten it out a little bit. And again, cut it into long strips first, just like that. And then you can cut your chunks. All right, so I'm going to show you another cut. This is chicken strips. This is what you would want to do if you were going to make some chicken fajitas and you want some nice thin strips, okay? So I'm going to cut it in half again, just like I did with my cut for the chicken cutlets. This one's a little thick, so I'm just going to flatten it out a little bit with my hand, okay? Just like that. And then you kind of just work long ways like this, okay? Just cut nice long strips across the grain, just like that, all the way down. Okay, you can see these nice strips. And now you have nice chicken strips. Okay, I'll just do the other side real quick. And again, you can see the grain sometimes on these. It runs this way. And the more you cut against the grain, the more tender your chicken will be. So just try and pay attention to that. And again, I'm just going to go right down the whole thing and make nice strips. All right, so the last thing I want to show you is how to pound out and tenderize your chicken. All right, so these are chicken cutlets. I already cut this one breast in half, and I'll show you how I pound those out. But if you want to do a whole breast and flatten the whole breast out, which I actually like to do a lot when I make grilled chicken, you basically, instead of slicing it in half, you're just going to start to butterfly it a little bit. And what that means is I'm just going to make a little incision here on the thickest part, just to kind of help it open up a little bit. All right, and I'm going to go grab my plastic wrap and I'll show you how to pound these out. All right, so I got a clean glove on so I don't contaminate my plastic wrap, but I have large plastic wrap here, and I really recommend getting this. It comes in very, very handy. And what I like to do is I'm just going to peel off a big piece right on top of my board, and then I'm going to fold it over so I have a double layer there so it doesn't rip, okay? Then I can just tear that off. And I'll do my chicken cutlets first. I'll set this whole breast aside for a minute. And then I'll center, I got my 2 regular cutlets here. I'm gonna put the plastic wrap right on top. All right, so now I'm ready to tenderize this. And I have my meat tenderizer. And when it comes to chicken, you never use the side with the spikes. You wanna use the flat side. And what you're looking for is, make sure you know which side is the thicker side. This side is a lot more tender, the tapered side. So I'm gonna go on the thickest side first and just kind of start to pound it out. And you wanna kind of hit it on a glancing blow to help it spread out, okay? So the thicker side, I'm gonna hit a little harder, and on the tapered end here, which is much softer, I'm just gonna gently pound it so I don't completely shred the chicken, okay? And you can see immediately it starts to flatten out. All right, and this is what it looks like, and you can see how much bigger surface area you have here. These are nice and thin, they're nice and flat, and they're perfectly even. So not only does it tenderize the chicken, but it makes sure that you cook it nice and evenly. All right, so this is what I would do if I were making chicken parmesan, chicken cutlets, chicken Milanese, whatever you want to call it. I'd butterfly, I'd cut them just like this and pound them out nice and thin. All right, now this is a whole breast, okay? Now I didn't cut this one in half. This is a whole breast. And remember, I made that little butterfly cut on the thickest part just to help me get it started, okay? So now I'm gonna show you how to pound that out. And here you gotta put a little extra work, but again, you start at the top, at the thickest part of it, of the breast, and just start to work it just like this, and you're kinda, as you hit it, you're pushing it out, okay? To help it flatten. All right, now this looks good, and you can see now I used the whole breast, and now you have a much larger piece of chicken. So what I would use this for, I'd pound out the whole breast if I was making some grilled chicken, but also if I wanted to make some stuffed chicken cutlets, because this is so large, you could put a filling in there, and you see you could just roll this right up, and that's how you would make a stuffed chicken cutlet. All right, so there you have it. My chicken's all done. And now all you got to do at this point, I mean, it's completely up to you, is figure out how you want to portion it out and how much you want to freeze or how much you want to cook. You could also grill the chicken first and then freeze it, but that's a different video. So there you have it. It's pretty easy. That's how you clean and prep chicken breast. And again, make sure you look for fresh chicken. Don't get the pack that has water in it. Get the package of chicken that's nice and clean, that's dry, where you can see the bottom of that styrofoam package. Then you know it's fresh. And from there, it's just a matter of practice. You do this a couple times and you'll be really fast. It won't take you no time at all. And then you can stock up when it's on sale, save yourself some money. So hey, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for checking it out. And don't forget to like the video, share this, and please subscribe to the channel. Thanks everybody.